Ladies and gentlemen, a woman who has attachment to an individual is part of a mental sickness, still has a moral dilemma. A feeling is not a good enough reason to commit a murder, particularly a premeditated murder. You cannot justify, but the law is higher than the mental condition itself. Criminal liability is granted when the woman takes the law into her own hands. Alternatives to murder do exist. We cannot just take them out of account. Other alternatives do exist. In fact, some provided by the state, such as social welfare programs. Serial killers want to kill. Is that okay? Absolutely not. Not okay at all. And we find this to be a social norm. People who suffer poverty who need to kill for food, are they exempt? Absolutely not. We put them under the law as well. Thus, people under Battered Person Syndrome should also be put under the law under the same circumstances. Premeditated murder was premeditated, thus free will still exists. We believe that any premeditated crime, except in extreme cases of insanity, is never acceptable because it is another excuse for vigilantism, as Greg has stated. This debate is going to be decided on 3 factors. 1. Battered Person Syndrome serves as an excuse to take the law into your own hands, vigilantism. 2. Mental diseases are subjective, and too many are created as time is progressing to be used as a mere excuse once again from the medical field. And 3. The state is the ultimate interpreter of the law under all circumstances in order to uphold order and proper stability within society, except, as aforementioned, in cases of extreme and immediate danger. This would be considered revenge. Now, the opposition has stated that social welfare is seemingly unavailable. Unclear as to where it went. Last time I checked, social welfare is still available amongst society. In fact, it was mentioned in the debate, so it still exists because we know it exists. It was mentioned. It lives in a state, they say that they live in a state, victims live in a state of mental terror on a constant basis. But let me tell you something, social welfare doesn't fit, does in fact exist. And they exist for these exact circumstances and this exact purpose. These programs were created for circumstances particularly like this. When there is a woman or child under this battered person syndrome, and continuously, perpetuously battered and abused, whether mentally or physically, these social welfare programs are readily available for you to turn to. In fact, they say that they can't call these social welfare programs because they know they will be even harder that night. However, these are anonymous calls and not traced. Social welfare was thought out logically. Somebody came up with them for these reasons. We cannot just discount them. They must be taken into account. Alongside that, the opposition states that free choice is systematically killed through constant battering. They're living through a psychological torture and horror. They're given this medical title. But ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. Greg taught you about doctors, right? So let me keep the teaching rolling because we've got more to talk about. Medical titles and psychological states of beings are handed out like candy today. Propaganda within the medical field of billions of dollars of revenue diagnoses everyone with medical conditions. Every other person has ADD or ADHD and it's just readily available. Where do we draw the line? I'll tell you where. We draw it right here at vigilantism. Because, as Greg stated, vigilantism, as he adequately stated, vigilantism should never be supported by any organ, for the law is blind and should take care of matters, not by the individual. Insanity, as we stated, is exempt. But Battered Person Syndrome is not classified as an insane state of being. Therefore, even if a possibly corrupt medical world, even the possibly medical corrupt world, does not classify Battered Person Syndrome as an insane state of being, then free will, freedom of choice, does in fact exist, because even the medical field does not classify it as a medical state of being. Premeditated murder is pondered and acted upon, so therefore the opposition's point is null and void. Yes?
you've got 3 speakers explaining to you why she is mentally unstable. Do you mind answering us before you're saying, oh, she's perfectly stable and fine?
I'm not saying she's perfectly stable. In fact, it would be corrupt of me to say she's perfectly stable. I'm just telling you the medical field is itself saying that it's not an insane state of being. And we're saying that the only exception is if it's an insane state of being or if it's an immediate state of danger. If it's an immediate state of danger. Battered Person Syndrome serves as an excuse to take the law into your own hands. Ahad showed you the conditions of why this disease cannot be used as a defense, adequately stated. Greg showed you, however, how this is an unfair act of vigilantism that other criminals may use in their defense. A very clear distinction to be made. Mental diseases are subjective, and too many are created as time progresses to be used as a mere excuse. Ori from the opposition tries to justify this crime because of a mental disease. Greg offered you the wider picture that this paradigm can be applied to other crimes that we don't have diseases for. Moreover, Greg proved that even if this is an acceptable condition, it's not enough to usurp the law or take it into your own hands. The law exists for this particular reason. Allow justice and allow the judicial system to take matters into their hands. The state is the ultimate interpreter of the law under all circumstances in order to uphold proper stability, except, as I stated, in cases of extreme and immediate danger. Premeditated murder is not extreme and immediate, it's premeditated and previously thought out before. There was free will and choice in this. So where do we draw the line, ladies and gentlemen? Where does murder come into account? The difference between a subjective analysis of a crime, as Nadi brought up, showed us that it's possible to have different conclusions of mental health. Greg further showed that this woman faced no clear and immediate danger, planned her crime, and crossed the line to decide to become a criminal. A clear decision was made. In summary, Greg's extension was showing that when an individual takes the law into their own hands, no matter the circumstance, it's inexcusable. Shows us never be a defense in the courtroom. Immediate danger is the only premeditated murder. Thank you.